Oh, wow. The flip? I'm not sure about the flip.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Pirillo, and this is my reaction to using the Motorola Razr Plus for the first time, and hopefully not the last, if I can avoid accidentally dropping it again. I should note, before I do drop it again, that there are cases that happen to be available for this device. I think what's most remarkable to me is that it's pretty. I mean, it's beautiful. The color that they chose is breathtaking, more so in person than could ever be translated in video, unfortunately. This side of the phone looks like a phone side, like a normal back of a smartphone that might look metallic, but it's actually a screen, and it's amazing. Admittedly, I have done a little bit of customization, but not too much. It's an interactive screen for whatever it's worth. You can run a certain amount of apps on there, dial the phone, get your calendar if you happen to have a busy schedule, watch more Chris Pirillo videos and send. I sent you a reminder. I mean, the easiest way to do it is just to turn on notifications. You can even play games on the screen, including Marble Mayhem. These are all built in, and this uses the accelerometer and gyroscope. So here I go. I'm going to do my best to get the ball through the maze and maybe not strain a muscle in the process. Look at that, level 1 complete. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't see it because the light is reflecting. Well, you're just gonna have to trust me. When the screen is off, the always-on display kicks in. You can even change the format of the clock, the format of the screen. I've got the weather, I've got the date, I've got the time, and I've got more than enough willingness to talk about this product. One of the first things I tried to do, I keep trying to open it with one hand, and it's not exactly the way I would like it to be. I mean, it did work, clearly, but perhaps takes a little more effort than I would have expected for a flip phone. Look at this. They're even warning me not to remove the screen protector. That's a big deal because I was inclined to do just that. There's like a notch cutout around the selfie cam up front, and I came this close to thinking, wait, did they mean the protector under the protector, or is that the protector? Swipe that away. If you're wondering where the fingerprint scanner is, it's not built into the display, outside or inside. It's actually built into the power button, so it's really seamless to use. I have it mapped to a couple of my fingers and another part of my body, my nose, just in case. This screen itself is extremely responsive in terms of a software experience. I'm not saying this is vanilla Android, but it is Android 13. I would assume that at some point in the future, it will get updated to Android 14. I would say that it's stock Android-ish. There's not a lot of bloat, and anything that might be added is only going to enhance your experience with this particular device. It's fluid, and that means that you can scroll and swipe around, and it's probably a little more snappy than a Google Pixel, but it's similar. One of my chief concerns, and this may very well be yours as well, is when it comes to foldable or flippable phones, how many times can you flip them over time before inevitably they break? I mean, it is going to incur some amount of wear and tear, but the crease in the middle, how prominent is it, especially when you happen to have the device unfolded like I do? And I'm doing my best to reflect the light so you can see that it's hardly noticeable this way, and when I'm actually using the device itself, it really isn't noticeable because I'm immersed in the software experience. You see, I have my thumb resting on the power button to be able to unlock it. But that's really not the coolest part about using a device like this. I'm going to go ahead and double tap the power button, and y'all probably know that shortcut, right? It launches into the camera app. Well, right now, you can see what I see, all right? Now, why is that important? Because the selfie cam usually isn't as high quality as the front-facing camera. So now I can take selfies with a higher quality camera. I can see exactly what that camera sees without having to guess, without having to gesture, without having to time it, without having to wonder whether or not I'm going to get a decent shot. I can get a decent shot. I can frame it the right way because of this screen. That's awesome. And I would love to see this feature on every smartphone out there, apart from any foldable or flippable. And remember, it's also foldable. So I could set it down on the table. I don't need a tripod. I can adjust it in a variety of angles and get the shot that I might want. So the killer app for this phone is the maze game. No, it's the camera. Really, that's something that I feel is going to win a lot of people over. In terms of image quality, it's a contender. I wouldn't necessarily, it's top of the line, but it's definitely not bottom. I don't really review cameras or photos for a living, but in terms of like producing social media content, it is more than ample. All right, time for some duck lips. Yep, I look like a duck. If it walks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's a Chris Pirillo. If it doesn't look vivid to you, it could be my camera mistranslating, but I also turn down the vividness on the screen. It's just my personal preference when it comes to Android screens, at least, and I'm fine with that. The photo would look different on just about any screen. But again, in terms of overarching quality, I feel this is a really good point and shoot option. Within the camera, there are a variety of features, including a pro mode portrait, which I still feel is well within the gimmick territory, and that goes for every phone. Am I the only one who doesn't go for the portrait photos? Night vision is here, video, naturally, slow motion even, if those of you out there are interested in doing the slow motion stuff. Like I said, it's about as full-featured a camera as you might have anywhere, anytime. You can even take photos or video with the flip closed, so you don't have to have it open in any way. That's pretty convenient. The more I use it, the more fluid I recognize the experience to be. Animations, transitions, getting in and out of applications, it's clean, and I haven't seen any jank, so to speak, or anything that would cause me any degree of concern thinking that the software just was not optimized for the hardware. And that is everything. I mean, especially when you're talking about devices that I would say don't necessarily fit the norm today. And what's the norm? Well, maybe a candy bar style or a slab style phone. Having a foldable phone isn't really yet the norm, but Motorola did a good job with integrating experience here as well as here when you might need it in either way. But to me, all of that would be stunted if I saw frame drops, and I have really not seen anything. This thing is responsive. When I say thing, device, screen, display, the software works. Another thing I'm noticing is that there is a lip of sorts around the perimeter of the case, and I don't have a case on it, I mean specifically like the chassis, the body. It is slightly raised over the screen, and I don't know if they've done that for durability purposes. That kind of lip is something that I look for in external cases for any device, if only because when you drop the phone, because it's inevitable, you're going to drop the phone. You don't want that screen to be damaged. So theoretically, the screen protector that you're not supposed to remove is doing double duty with that external perimeter being slightly raised over the screen. You can customize this thing 7 ways from Sunday, or Tuesday as the case may be, because that's the day I happen to be recording it. Both the internal and external display are configurable. You've got the standard widgets that you'd normally find in Android. You've got the standard Android apps. You got a few non-Android apps like the dialer, the phone, but it looks more like a customized version of what Google has produced specifically for their Pixels. If I happen to be in the market for a foldable or a flippable device, something that is certainly pocketable, this would be an option. Something like it, absolutely. But not having used a Motorola device in a number of years, and I think the last one may have been like a mid-range, this impressed me a lot more. And I have not been on record in saying that I might have picked something like this up for myself, if not having been given the opportunity. So I really appreciate the opportunity of being able to look at this and get the first experience of a modern foldable or flippable device. I happen to be more of a flagship kind of person, like when it comes to cameras all the way through. But, you know, this, and I think I even referred to this in the fun boxing video, is a fashion statement. And that's not a slag at all. I mean, this thing is nice. When it's on, when it's off, I think it's going to draw a lot of eyeballs. I wasn't sure, up until having the experience with the Motorola Razr Plus, whether or not the foldable or flippable revolution was a gimmick. And I thought it was squarely in that territory, a flash in the pan, like, oh, this is different. Clearly, this is different. And for some people, a nice callback to the foldable or flippable phones they might have had decades ago, which I never did, so I didn't have that nostalgia value. But I just wasn't sure how well it would play off. I haven't had a wealth of experience with these types of devices. Again, this is the first foldable device that I've seen or used. I know they're out there. You could walk into a store and try one, but I just wasn't all that compelled because I didn't think it would be for someone like me. But that said, even in not carrying something like this as a main shooter or a daily driver, if I planned on doing content away from home and I didn't want to use the camera on my particular device that I happen to use, at least today, I would carry this around in a secondary capacity because it's very portable, incredibly portable. And again, the hinged design can really come in handy when it comes to shooting video or photos. And I know a lot of y'all out there may not be content minded and you'd think, oh, you know, I could just use my phone for that or a dedicated camera. But, you know, there have been times where I have wanted to shoot video in some way, shape, or form form, and it wasn't going to work without a tripod or without someone else holding it or without me being able to mount it. That problem is solved in either orientation, either portrait or landscape. You understand? So that to me makes it a very versatile shooter specifically for content creators. They're not just saying that as a marketing buzzword. Oh, it's a great phone for content creators. No, it really would be a great option if you're someone who creates content, in any capacity, but certainly, within social media circles. I'm taking the full tour finally because I hadn't tapped that button yet. It was just walking me through certain camera features, different Moto experiences, including the ability, I believe somewhere in here, beyond personalization, to be able to turn the interface into the old Motorola Razr interface that you might have remembered way, 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 way back in the day. This would be really good to dive through if you're not all that familiar with Android, or certainly what this device might be able to bring. Yeah, Android basics. I should be reading everything. No, I guess I'm done. I could check out more tips or just close it. So there's a Razr tips. I'm definitely not saying that this device is for everyone, and I'm certainly not at the point where I could effectively review it because I'm not really a good reviewer. I'm a good looker at her. I'm a good, let's shoot from the hip. Let's see if this thing is something that I might want to use on a regular basis in one way, shape, or form. And I believe that I would use this on a regular basis in one way, shape, or form. Long story short, and that's largely, again, because of the software experience and the fact that it is flexible. And I don't just mean in terms of its physicality, but the modality of its physicality. In waiting to take a look at this device, I've actually had it propped up in tent mode on my desk because it acts as a clock. That's pretty darn cool. Naturally, it does charge by USB Type-C. I don't know if there are many modern Android devices that don't. I love the sound, by the way. It's a very ASMR thing to do. Here, I'll try to slap it harder. You didn't know you were tuned into an ASMR highlight, did you? Don't worry, I'm not going to turn this into an ASMR channel, or should I?
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more! It's time to stop!
The protruding camera lenses here on this part of the device do happen to collect a lot of dust and debris on their perimeter, but that's no different than any other device. What makes this one stand out more is the high glossy nature of this particular screen. Both of the screens on this device are prone to picking up and holding on to a lot of fingerprints. I'm sure there are oleophobic treatments that have already taken place with this device at the factory, but still, it is a fingerprint magnet. Look at that. When media is being played, swipe down from the top to access the media player controller. That's when it's in a folded state. Shortcuts and panels, Google Assistants, using the flip, quick replies, shoot cinematic video. I just learned how to turn on Retro Razr mode. It's actually an option. That's not a tile that's there by default, but you can drag that tile into your general tiles interface and tap that button for Retro Razr, and it actually works like the Retro Razr, from dialing to navigation. If you thought I was old school, no, that is old school. Yeah. Fun, but I think I'm going to turn that off. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the regular interface, I think. And I don't know how to turn off the Retro Razr option. Oh, I see. It was just an app, like an overlay. Okay. I'm good. I'm back to the normal new Razr experience, which is just fine. Certainly, if you've been bored with the array of smartphones that might have been at your disposal at any tier, low to high, this may very well be worth your attention. And if anything, I've learned that I would not necessarily mind having a foldable or flippable device. I would just want certain features in it that I'm not quite sure the Motorola Razr Plus would have, specifically camera options. But again, I'm talking about if I were to use something like this as a daily driver. I'm still going to be using it, but primarily as a camera, specifically in situations where I would not be able to more easily use my smartphone and don't want to lug around a larger device. My initial impressions are, I'm impressed. I mean, they are positive impressions. I don't plan on doing a review, like a full-on, in-depth, here's everything about this device that you might need to know. I really kind of go by what I feel when I first start using it. So that is enough to keep me moving forward with this device rather than just putting it in a drawer or passing it on. To illustrate just how much I don't necessarily chase specs, I look more for what does the device feel like in terms of an experience. I'm looking at their website right now. It's a 6.9-inch display. Of course, that's diagonal. The reason why I found it fluid, or certainly a bit more fluid than the Pixel experience, because that's the corollary, at least because this is very much close to a raw Android experience, or at least Android 13 on the Motorola Razr Razr Plus. 165 hertz, that's the refresh rate. So that's the reason why it feels fluid. It's very, very nice. HDR10, DCI P3, surround all around, so it's got Dolby Atmos audio. That's a great device. It's got 30-watt charging, which should be fast for most people, so you can charge up in just minutes. Uses the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor, so it's a solid device. I just can't keep my fingerprints off it, literally. That color is outstanding. What do you think?
Okay. Oh, it's a nice screen, though. Otherwise, it made me think of something. Beam me up, Scotty. Oh, doesn't see that. It's there. Yeah, it's there. I kind of like the concept of a folding because then it fits in your pocket good. So you can operate it on the half screen or you can operate it on the big screen, it looks like.
What do you think about the hardware specifically?
The hardware, but you can see where it folds. Right here, there's like a valley. And that will, it's like your wallet and everything else. What happened here? I have to figure out how everything works, though. See, I don't use some of this stuff, so I don't know what to do. The only thing I really use is a camera.
Open it up again.
I did. Oh, it's telling me. It's got a little meter up in the upper right-hand corner. It kind of tells you. Looks like the light level, maybe. You can move around. You can have two people on this. I don't know if you would use that. I'm going to try it. No, it's gone. It's not there.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Is that like outdoor in the dark?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. This has you could turn the camera around. Oh, it's got a zoom feature. Oh, no connection. It's not on. It's not connected to the internet or something. Yeah, how do you tell if it's connected or not? It doesn't tell you anywhere. It doesn't have like a fan or something. Yeah, I know a lot of people would like that feature of it bending, but I'd be leery of it. And I don't know how expensive the phone is. So if I went to this, it would be down in there. People would know I had a phone.
I don't see much of nothing. As a matter of fact, I can't even see you, sir.
Okay. Well, I like the color. It's a little heavy, but not bad. Oh, wow. The flip. I'm not sure about the flip because you have to open it. It doesn't just come up when you on the front screen. You have to open it. But the flip makes it smaller, so that's nice. Okay, so the top front of it does show the time. I can see the time. That's nice and big, but I can't see the other whatever was off to the side.
Let's keep in mind that Mom is legally blind.
That's true. But I like the how it makes it smaller being a flip.
Double tap the power button.
Power button. Is this it? Okay. Maybe that's not the power. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So that's how to bring that up. That's really nice and big. Kind of confusing because it almost, that's the time. So how would I bring that up again?
Power button.
Oh, down here someplace. That brought it up.
Okay.
I like the small flip.
The power button's actually on the side.
Oh.
It's on the side.
It's not this thing here?
It's here. You can barely feel it on the side here.
What's this round thing?
That's a lens.
Oh, oops. I probably got your lens all... Wow, there's a lot of buttons over here. I'd have to get used to where they're at.
There you go.
Ooh, cool. It's heavier than my little one, but then that's a 6S. Again, the folding, I like that size better than the big phone. I don't think it'll fit into jean pockets. Well, it fits into this one. Not all my jeans would it, but at least it fits into that one. And see if it would stay this big, that'd be way too big. I do like that flip.
Would you find yourself flipping for a foldable or flippable phone? Well, either way, at this point, I'm going to leave you to your foldable or flippable or non-foldable or non-flippable devices.